Night folds over the old world, and everything is gentle. The air above Mesopotamia carries no sound, only the quiet shimmer of heat fading from the stones. You are safe inside the ancient light. Breathe softly. The moon waits for you. Inhale through the nose. 4. Hold. 7. Exhale through the mouth. 8. Your breath meets the air that once drifted through the reed cities, the same breeze that brushed against the tents of the Amorites long ago. Before the cities, there was only the desert, an ocean of sand and stars. The Amorites crossed it by starlight, guided by the silver river of the sky. Their hands carried fire, their hearts carried patience. They followed the moon's pale path until it met the river that would name them. You do not need to fall asleep. Sleep will quietly find you, as it found them beside the water's edge, where they built their first hearth from clay and silence. You kneel now in that same silence. Before you is a shallow bowl carved from river stone. You pour cool water into it. The surface catches the moon's reflection, a trembling circle of light. You trace it once with your finger. The water hums faintly, as if remembering every voice that ever prayed here. Visual, moonlight resting on water. Auditory, a soft wind brushing through reeds. Olfactory, the faint scent of myrrh and wet clay. Tactile, the smooth rim of the bowl beneath your hand. The breath deepens. Your body begins to understand the rhythm, the ancient pulse of stillness that lives in all things. This is the gate of beginnings, where wandering ends and rest begins. A thin silver mist moves gently through the quiet air. You exhale, and the world exhales with you. Beyond the quiet gate, another dream begins. As night returns, the world is calm again. Breathe softly. The ancient light waits for you. You walk through the desert where the Amorites once moved like wind. The sand beneath your feet is warm, breathing faint heat from the vanished sun. You carry a small clay vessel in both hands. Inside it, the ashes of yesterday's fire. Each step makes a sound so faint it could be mistaken for memory. You pause, listening. The air is wide, endless. Far away, a dune shifts under moonlight, its edge glowing like polished stone. You kneel and draw a simple line on the ground, a sign of presence, not possession. Beside the line, you place the vessel and whisper a single word: rest. The Amorites once performed this same gesture when they ended a journey. They believed the earth needed to know where they had stopped so that the wind would not forget them. You trace a small circle in the sand, pour a little water inside, and the desert drinks with gratitude. Your shoulders soften. The night folds closer. There is no rush, no sound of command, only the faint rhythm of breath and the pulse of the earth. You lift your gaze and find the moon suspended above the dunes, silver and unblinking, her reflection trembling across grains of sand. You fold your hands and feel the warmth of the clay vessel fade into the cool air. Everything slows. Every breath becomes part of the ritual. Each inhale a step into stillness, each exhale a gentle surrender. Moonlight lies across the sand like silk over stone. You hear a soft stirring, wind through distant reeds, the faint echo of hooves long gone. The scent of resin and cedar drifts in the cool night air. Grounding the mind, a fine layer of dust brushes against your skin, warm, light, familiar. Each sense opens a door. Each door leads inward. Time is not a river here. It is a breath. The Amorites knew that the world did not move forward. It simply expanded and folded, like sand reshaped by invisible hands. To rest in this place is to understand patience. The moon will always rise. The dunes will always listen. Civilizations are not born of conquest, but of pauses long enough for thought to take root. You are part of that same stillness, a traveler whose journey begins only when the need to arrive has gone. Inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and let the breath fall away. Your body settles a little deeper. A silver mist drifts low across the dunes, shimmering under the patient moon. Beyond the quiet gate, another dream begins. As night returns, the world is calm again. Breathe softly. The ancient light waits for you. You follow the path where the dunes fade into reeds and the desert loosens its hold. The air begins to change. It carries coolness, and with it, the faint scent of water. You hear the first murmur before you see it, the whisper of the Euphrates. The Amorites once called it the breath of the gods. You walk toward that sound, steady, unhurried, until the sand gives way to clay. You kneel at the water's edge. Its surface gleams like liquid glass, the moon's reflection floating intact, unbroken. You dip your fingers in and lift a small pool of light into your palms. It trembles there, cool and silver. You let it fall back, and the circle reforms instantly, whole again. The river forgives without question. Beside you lies a carved basin, half buried in silt. It once held offerings, milk, grain, perhaps oil. You brush the surface clean and fill it again, letting the water rise to its rim. The current moves softly beneath, steady as breath. You rest your hands on the cool stone and feel the pulse beneath your skin align with the current. Inhale, hold, exhale. The river responds. The Amorites would come here at night to wash their hands and faces before sleep. They believed water remembered, that it carried fragments of the day away, leaving only the essence of being. You follow their ritual, cupping the water, touching your brow, your lips, your chest. You whisper to it all that should fade, and you let it go. The sound it makes is the sound of peace. Moonlight drapes the banks in silver gauze. Somewhere upriver, a heron stirs, its wings slicing the air with the grace of a prayer. A faint ripple reaches you. It rocks the reflection of the moon but does not break it. Lanterns float downstream, each holding a single flame. They drift like stars fallen to earth, quiet, obedient, luminous. You watch them pass one after another, their glow mirrored in the water until the distance swallows them. Moonlight rests on the slow current. You hear the hush of reeds bending in the wind, the faint trickle beneath the basin. The scent of myrrh and wet clay rises with the mist. Cool air touches your wrists, the kind that speaks of safety. Each sensation folds gently into the next, forming a single unbroken calm. Time here moves differently. It does not count, it circulates. Every ripple returns to its source. Every reflection folds back into itself. The Amorites learned this long before they built walls. To them, the river was the first teacher, unhurried, unjudging, eternal. It gave without question, and in that giving, they found the measure of all things. You begin to understand. Power does not come from holding. It comes from flowing, from yielding to the path shaped by patience. The river is not conquered, only joined. You lean closer to the water. Your reflection trembles, no longer separate from the sky. You see both the moon and your own outline merging into a single form. It does not matter which is which. It only matters that they move together. Inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and let the breath fall away. Your body settles a little deeper. Your heartbeat becomes the current itself. Silver mist lifts from the surface, blurring the edge between air and water. The night folds its wings and waits in silence. Beyond the quiet gate, another dream begins. As night returns, the world is calm again. Breathe softly. The ancient light waits for you. You walk along the quiet banks until the reeds part and the ground beneath your feet changes. The sand becomes clay, cool and pliant, the color of dusk. The Amorites once called this place the heart of the river, where earth and water meet to build what endures. They believed that by shaping clay, they shaped time. You kneel and press your fingers into the soil. It yields without resistance, soft and patient, a memory of the flood that once passed here. Beside you stands a shallow pit, lined with stones blackened by ancient fire. You scoop the clay with both hands, heavy and smooth, and place it into a warm bowl. The bowl itself has the same scent as rain, clean, faintly metallic. You pour a little water from your palm, turning the clay into a slow swirl of grey and silver. You trace circles with your fingertips until the mixture thickens, whispering the same words the Amorite potters did when they asked for steadiness of hand. Their breath remains inside the rhythm of this movement, even now. You shape a small vessel, nothing large, nothing meant to last. It is for holding silence, not wine or grain. Your thumbs press gently into its center, forming space. The act feels sacred, though no gods are named. The clay listens to you, and you to it. When you lift it toward the moon, its wet surface glows, reflecting light as though it were alive. The scent of the river lingers, earthy, warm, faintly sweet. A flute hums somewhere far away, a single note drifting through the reeds. The air against your arms is cool and dry now. The breath of the night moving slow. You can almost feel the pulse of the earth beneath you, the low thrum that the Amorites believed was the heartbeat of creation. The city that rose here began like this, not with conquest, but with touch. Each brick was molded from breath and clay, the trace of a hand pressed into its side. Each wall was a form of memory, each floor a reminder of rest. They did not build to reach the sky, they built to hold stillness. In their craft, they discovered what every wanderer eventually learns, that peace is a shape one makes with their own hands. Time thickens around you. It feels less like motion, more like breathing. The clay cools in your palms. Your heart slows to match it. You set the vessel beside you and smooth the earth flat again. In that gesture, everything becomes equal. The maker, the made, the silence between them. Moonlight slides across the surface of the vessel, glimmering in its curve. You hear the reeds whisper, the soft stirring of the river, the gentle breath of night settling upon your skin. The scent of lotus and oil drifts faintly through the air. The ground beneath you feels alive, its texture a map of warmth and still water. Your senses blend into one quiet awareness. Not looking, not listening, simply being. In this stillness, you remember what the Amorites knew, that nothing endures by being hard. The world's strength is in its ability to yield, to change form without breaking. Even the clay returns to water, even the city to dust, and the dust to silence. Creation and rest are not opposites. They are the same act, seen from different moons. Inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and let the breath fall away. Your body settles a little deeper. The night holds you like unfired earth, soft and waiting. A silver mist drifts through the reeds, curling above the calm river, bright beneath the patient moon. Beyond the quiet gate, another dream begins. As night returns, the world is calm again. Breathe softly. The ancient light waits for you. You enter the city the Amorites built from river clay and patience. The streets are narrow, their walls still warm from the day's last sun. The air hums with the scent of oil and stone dust, and far above, the ziggurat rises, a mountain of prayer molded by steady hands. You walk toward it slowly, the soles of your feet brushing over smooth, cool tiles. Each step echoes softly, a heartbeat returning from another age. At the base of the temple, torches flicker against basalt. You take one and climb the steps. Each tier feels like another breath drawn upward. Effort, release, effort, release. The Amorite priests once climbed this same path at night, believing that each ascent was a conversation with the moon. The higher they went, the quieter they became. At the top, silence was considered the purest offering. You reach the final platform. The air is thinner here, touched by wind and the faint sound of distant water. Before you stands an altar of dark stone, polished smooth as glass. You set the torch down and pour a small bowl of oil over its surface. The flame bends toward it, shimmering. You light it with a whisper, and the fire steadies, no flicker, no tremor. It burns low and even, as if it knows this night will not be disturbed. Moonlight slides across the altar. You dip your fingers into the oil, tracing a slow circle on the stone. Its surface is cool, breathing beneath your touch. The scent of frankincense rises, warm and resinous, blending with the cool air that moves like silk around your shoulders. Somewhere below, a single bell sounds, then fades into nothing. You close your eyes and feel the temple breathing with you. The walls hold the warmth of every prayer ever spoken here, yet none of them clamor to be heard. The Amorites understood this balance, that devotion is not a plea, but a posture. They did not raise their temples to be seen by gods, but to remember themselves. Stone by stone, they shaped quiet into permanence. You lift your face towards the moon. Her light pours down the temple steps like liquid silver, washing over your hands. The fire before you bends in the wind, steady and low. You inhale, feeling the air move from the crown of your head to the base of your spine, and then you exhale until no effort remains. Your shoulders ease, your chest softens, your pulse slows to the rhythm of the flame. Moonlight pools along the edges of the altar. You hear the faintest sound of wind circling through the tower, carrying the echo of your own breath. The smell of oil mingles with the smoke, smooth and sweet. The basalt beneath your fingertips feels alive, its surface both cold and forgiving. For a long moment, you stay like this, not asking, not waiting, simply belonging. There is a truth the Amorites learned in this ritual, that prayer is not an act of reaching upward, but of returning inward. The divine is not elsewhere. It lives in the breath that slows, the hand that stills, the flame that stays. When you bow, you are not submitting. You are remembering what peace feels like. Inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and let the breath fall away. Your body settles a little deeper. The heart of the temple and your own heart beat the same quiet rhythm. A thin silver mist moves through the high air, brushing against the edge of the moon. Beyond the quiet gate, another dream begins. As night returns, The world is calm again. Breathe softly. The ancient light waits for you. The air is softer here, carrying the scent of green things and running water. You pass through a gate made of cypress wood and enter the king's garden, the quiet heart of Babylon. The walls around you breathe warmth from the day, and the moonlight flows down like silver rain upon the leaves. The Amorites tended these gardens not for glory, but for rhythm, to teach the body how to rest while the earth continued to breathe. You walk between pools lined with stone. Each one reflects the moon as a perfect circle, glowing white against the dark. Lotus blossoms drift upon the surface, their petals barely touching the water. You kneel beside one and dip your hands in. The water is cool, alive, slow. You lift it and let it run down your wrists, carrying the dust of the day away. The Amorite caretakers once performed this same act each evening. They would wash their hands and offer silence, believing that stillness kept the garden alive. They planted in rhythm with the moon's cycle, sowing at her rise, harvesting at her fall. Every tree, every vine was a reflection of that light, turning sleep into renewal. The path curves toward a fountain carved with figures of reeds and wings. Its water hums low, steady as breath. You sit upon a low stone bench. The air smells of olive oil and night blossoms. The leaves rustle softly above. Far off, a harp plays a single slow note, and it lingers like a thought that refuses to fade. Your eyes follow a lantern floating down the stream, its small flame bending gently but never dying. Moonlight drapes the canopy in pale silk. You hear the water folding into itself, the faint footsteps of someone walking barefoot on sand. The scent of jasmine and cypress mingles with the salt of your skin. The stone beneath you is cool and smooth, its weight grounding you to the present. Every sense quiets in harmony, every breath lengthens, every thought begins to drift toward ease. The Amorites believed that to tend a garden was to tend the mind. Where weeds grew, so did restlessness. Where balance reigned, even silence bore fruit. They learned that the earth did not need control. It needed companionship. In the night stillness, they found their truest form of prayer, care without demand. You understand this now, surrounded by water, leaves, and air that remembers. The world expands and contracts with each inhale, a living rhythm older than kings. Nothing is hurried. Nothing is lost. Each drop of water reflects the moon, and each reflection holds the promise of return. The cycle continues, soil, root, blossom, decay, all resting within one breath. And in that breath, you are home. Inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and let the breath fall away. Your body settles a little deeper. The air cools against your skin, and your heart takes the tempo of the fountain. Silver mist gathers over the pool, trembling in the quiet air. Beyond the quiet gate, another dream begins. As night returns, the world is calm again. Breathe softly. The ancient light waits for you. You walk toward the edge of the city, where the air carries a scent unlike the rivers, salt, wood, and slow wind. The harbor lies ahead, wide and quiet, its waters glimmering with the reflection of distant lanterns. Ships rest against the docks, their masts swaying like reeds in the tide. This is where the Amorites met the world, not in conquest, but in exchange. Here they learned that everything that leaves must one day return. You step onto the wooden pier. The planks creak softly beneath your feet, old and patient. You place your hand on a coil of rope, feeling its roughness against your skin. It smells faintly of cedar and salt. The sea hums below, a low, rhythmic voice that has never stopped speaking. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the moonlight stretches across waves, connecting one shore to another. You find a small lantern hanging from a post, its flame bending with the wind. You lift it, shielding it with your palm. The light paints your fingers gold for a moment, then fades to silver as the wind steadies. You lower the lantern toward the water. Its glow ripples across the surface, and in that movement, you see faces, hands, shadows of all who once stood here, sending their offerings into the current. The Amorite sailors believed that before any voyage, they must greet the sea as a teacher. They poured oil upon the water, not as tribute, but as promise. They asked it to remember their names and to return them whole. You uncork a small vessel and do the same. The oil spreads in slow rings, catching the moonlight, forming a thin mirror that drifts outward until it becomes part of the sea itself. You whisper a word, not a prayer, but a gratitude, and the waves answer by softening their sound. The night deepens. You sit on the dock's edge, feet dangling above the moving water. The ropes creak, the air cools. The scent of resin and salt fills your lungs. Your fingers trace the wood grain of the pier, each ridge worn by years of touch. Far away, gulls call once and fall silent. The sound folds into the rhythm of the waves. The Amorites built their ships the same way they built their lives, patient, layered, bound by faith in the unseen. Each plank carried the memory of a tree, each nail the echo of a hammering heart. They knew that every act of creation is a departure, and every return is a kind of homecoming. Their vessels crossed waters unknown, but always under the same moon. Even in distance, they were never lost. Moonlight drapes itself over the harbor. You hear the ropes tighten with the turning tide. You smell the faint sweetness of oil burning in lamps along the quay. The air brushes your arms, cool and damp, steady as breath. Every sense becomes a single awareness, the world exhaling through you. The sea holds no boundaries. It gives and takes in equal measure, a mirror for all that is alive. You watch the ripples fade, one inside another, until the surface becomes smooth again. Somewhere beneath, the reflection of the moon waits, whole and undisturbed. To the Amorites, this was the final teaching, that peace is not stillness, but the motion that harms nothing. Inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and let the breath fall away. Your body settles a little deeper. The sea moves in rhythm with your pulse, and your breath becomes the tide. A silver mist drifts above the harbor, touching the sails and vanishing into air. Beyond the quiet gate, another dream begins. As night returns, the world is calm again. Breathe softly. The ancient light waits for you. You walk beyond the city walls, past the gardens, past the sound of water, until the desert opens again before you. It is the same desert from which the Amorites first came, though now it feels changed, not emptiness, but return. The sand is cool beneath your feet, and the sky stretches vast and unbroken, filled with constellations older than memory. The stars hang low tonight, as if the heavens themselves have come to rest upon the earth. You stop beside a low dune and spread a linen cloth upon the ground. Upon it lies a small bowl of oil, a sprig of dried date palm, and a length of soft silk. These were the objects once used in the ritual of renewal, the act of releasing what the body still holds. You sit cross-legged and close your eyes. The silence here is complete, but not empty. It hums softly, like the pulse beneath the wrist. You lift the sprig of palm, brush it across your shoulders and down your chest. The dry leaves crackle faintly. Grains of sand fall away. The Amorites believed that each sound freed a memory. You feel the same lightness as you sweep the leaves along your arms and over your heart, as though the air itself were dusting away the day. Then you dip the palm into oil and hold it above the flame of your small lantern. It catches briefly, glows red, and releases a thread of smoke. The scent of resin fills the air, sharp and sweet. You breathe deeply. The smoke rises toward the stars, carrying everything you no longer need. In this gesture, the Amorites found forgiveness, not from gods, but from themselves. They called it returning to stillness. To stand beneath the night sky and offer silence was their highest devotion. The stars, they said, were the eyes of those who came before, watching not to judge, but to remind. The wind begins to move again, slow and cool. It wraps around you like silk. The dunes shift slightly, sighing under the weight of their own shadows. The linen cloth flutters at its edge. Your breathing steadies, matching the rhythm of the wind. Your body relaxes, shoulders, neck, chest, arms, each one releasing the faint tension of existence. Progressive relaxation, the Amorites might have called it, though they had no word for science. They only knew how to listen. The moon stands directly above now, bathing the desert in silver. Every grain of sand glints faintly, as if each were a star that fell to rest. You lie back upon the linen, feeling the air press lightly against your skin. You hear nothing but the sound of your own breath and the hush of the distant dunes. You smell oil, palm, and faint salt carried from unseen water. The ground beneath you is cool and alive, and the silk across your hands feels weightless. The Amorites believed that the night sky was a mirror of the soul, vast, infinite, always in motion, yet never breaking. To them, each life was a single spark in a pattern too wide to see. When their lamps dimmed, they said, the spark returned to the stars. You watch the heavens above you and understand. Nothing truly ends. Every light that fades becomes part of another glow. Every silence gives birth to another song. Inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and let the breath fall away. Your body settles a little deeper. Your thoughts drift like sand caught in a soft wind. A thin silver mist drifts along the horizon, rising from the dunes and blending with the starlight. Beyond the quiet gate, another dream begins. As night returns, the world is calm again. Breathe softly. The ancient light waits for you. You follow a winding path that leaves the lowlands behind. The river fades into silence. The city becomes a glow at the edge of memory, and ahead rises a mountain made of shadow and silver. The Amorites once called this place the Hill of Listening, where priests and wanderers climbed when they wished to hear what could not be spoken. You ascend slowly, step by step, the air thinning and cool. The stones underfoot breathe warmth from the sun that has long set. Above, the moon hangs enormous, close enough to touch. You reach a flat terrace where a pool of water rests inside a circle of smooth stone. Its surface reflects the entire sky, stars, moon, and the faint trace of clouds that drift like dreams. You kneel beside it, feeling the mountain's quiet strength beneath your palms. From a clay jar, You pour a little oil across the surface. It spreads in perfect circles, glowing faintly under the moonlight. You take a reed brush and draw a line through the reflection, dividing light from light. It reforms instantly, whole again. The lesson is clear. Nothing sacred can be broken. The wind hums softly between the stones. A low sound, deep and constant, moves through the mountain like breath through a living body. You listen and realize it is not the wind at all. It is the world, itself breathing. The Amorites believed that in this place, the voice of the earth and the voice of the sky met in harmony, and that if one stilled their heart long enough, they could hear their own soul join the chorus. You close your eyes and wait. The scent of pine drifts down from the slopes. You hear insects singing their slow, patient rhythm. The air touches your skin with cool fingers, brushing away the heat of the climb. Your heartbeat slows. You inhale, and the mountain inhales with you. You exhale, and the silence grows deeper. Every sound becomes a part of the same vast chord: air, breath, wind, stillness, all blending into a single tone of peace. The Amorites came here not to ask, but to remember. They understood that divinity was not hidden in the heavens, but scattered through every stone, every gust of wind, every reflection trembling on the surface of water. Their rituals were not for worship, but for return. A return to awareness, to belonging, to the truth that nothing exists apart from the rest. You feel that truth now. The mountain, the air, your breath, all bound together by quiet gravity. The moon climbs higher, resting on the mountain's shoulder. Her light covers the terrace, silver and tender. You stand and raise your hands, palms open, as if to collect it. It slides between your fingers like cool smoke, filling the hollow of your hands with brightness that weighs nothing. You lower them slowly to your chest and feel warmth spread through you. Not heat, but calm radiance, a knowing that you have carried this light all along. Inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and let the breath fall away. Your body settles a little deeper. The mountain's heartbeat moves with your own, steady and eternal. A silver mist gathers over the pool, the moon's reflection rippling within it. The wind grows still, and the air tastes faintly of rain. Beyond the quiet gate, another dream begins. As night returns, the world is calm again. Breathe softly. The ancient light waits for you. You return to the city of clay and firelight. The streets are empty now, washed in pale silver. From every window drifts a faint fragrance of honey and warm oil. You climb a narrow stairway spiraling upward until it opens onto a wide rooftop. The wind greets you with a hush. Below, the city sleeps. Above, the sky spreads endless and low, a bowl of dim stars resting on the horizon. The Amorites came here in their final days, when their walls had begun to crumble, when they no longer sought empire, but memory. Each evening, they gathered upon their rooftops, lighting small candles on shallow plates. They called it the keeping of light. It was not prayer, but gratitude for the breath that remained, for the hands that could still touch, for the sky that still remembered their names. You kneel and take a small wick, dipping it into oil the color of amber. When you light it, the flame rises quietly, no larger than a fingertip. You place 3 candles along the edge of the parapet, the first for beginnings, the second for endurance, the third for peace. Their reflections shimmer on the polished clay tiles, trembling in the wind but never extinguished. You fold your hands, and the night folds with you. The sound of distant footsteps fades, the city hum becomes breath, and the silence between buildings turns into something sacred. You gaze across the rooftops, a sea of tiny flames glowing against the dark. Each one marks a household, a life, a moment still awake. Together, they look like a second constellation, born not of stars, but of human tenderness. This, too, was part of the Amorite ritual, to mirror heaven on earth, to let the city become the sky. The air is cool and smells faintly of wax and smoke. You hear the creak of beams, the murmur of the night wind curling through narrow alleys. You touch the rim of a clay vessel, warm from the fire, its edge smooth beneath your fingers. Your senses align, sight, scent, sound, touch, each detail unfolding softly into stillness. You close your eyes and let the rhythm of breathing fill the space between you and the world. The Amorites had no word for farewell. When they departed, they simply said, "The flame continues." To them, endings were only transformations, a turning of light, not its loss. Even as their empire faded, they carried their rituals like embers in the mind. Wherever they went, they built the flame, would never vanish. It was their way of saying, "We remember." You watch the candle before you, its glow bending in the faint wind. For a moment, it seems to breathe with you, expanding, softening, returning to stillness. You lean closer, seeing how the wax forms tiny ripples, how light gathers in its curve. It is both fragile and endless, a quiet echo of the first fire the Amorites once carried across the desert. The rooftops shimmer with countless small flames now, each one trembling but refusing to die. From above, the city looks alive again, not with noise, but with light. Every candle is a heart, every shadow a memory. Even the cracked walls seem to glow, washed by the soft rhythm of flickering gold. You realize that this is not ruin, it is transformation. The city has learned how to shine without grandeur, how to rest without fear. A faint voice rises from another rooftop, an old melody sung low, carried by the wind. It drifts between buildings like smoke, weaving through the quiet air. The words are lost to time, but their feeling remains, something between longing and gratitude, the final exhale of a civilization that has accepted sleep. You hum with it, your tone blending into the song, and soon you cannot tell which voice is yours. The air thickens with the scent of honey wax and myrrh. You hear soft footsteps far below, the echo of sandals on stone. The rooftop beneath you feels smooth, cool, alive, holding the warmth of centuries. Every sense slows, the world no longer rushing, only circling. The moon hangs above the city's edge, pale and complete, her reflection mirrored in 100 bowls of oil. For the Amorites, this was perfection, not eternity, but repetition. Each night the same gestures, the same breath, the same light returning. You lift your gaze toward the moon, and for a moment, the horizon disappears. Sky and city merge into one vast sea of silver. Somewhere deep within, the breath of time expands and contracts like a tide. You feel yourself become part of it, not a witness, but a note within the quiet music of continuation. Inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and let the breath fall away. Your body settles a little deeper. The flame steadies. Your thoughts dim to a warm, golden hush. A thin silver mist curls through the rooftops, softening every edge, blurring every line until the city becomes dream. Beyond the quiet gate, another dream begins. As night returns, the world is calm again. Breathe softly. The ancient light waits for you. You stand within the final temple, not of stone, but of silence. The walls around you breathe with age. Each brick holds the echo of hands that shaped it, the pulse of water once mixed with clay. The air carries the faint scent of herbs and ember smoke. Somewhere, deep within the corridors, a single flame burns behind a screen of polished bronze. It has burned since the first builders left their footprints in the sand. You walk toward it slowly. Your sandals whisper over the floor, tracing a path others once walked in reverence and quiet duty. The hall opens into a small chamber at the heart of the ziggurat. Here, no wind moves, no voices linger. Only the flame lives, small, perfect, unmoving. Its glow turns the air to gold. You kneel before it, bowing your head, feeling its warmth reach your skin like the breath of a remembered friend. The Amorite priests called this the sleeping flame, a light that never rested because it was rest itself. Each evening, one keeper would tend it, not to feed, but to witness. They said the flame did not belong to the gods, nor to the city, but to time. It was the memory of every dawn and every breath carried from one soul to another. You take the bronze bowl in your hands and tilt it slightly. The oil ripples, a miniature sea holding the sun. You pour a few drops of fresh oil along its edge. The fire accepts the offering without sound, without change, as if it had always known it would come. Moonlight filters through a narrow slit in the ceiling. It meets the flame and joins it, silver merging with gold. For a moment, both lights balance, one from heaven, one from earth, and the chamber glows like the heart of creation. You lift your hand, palm open, and feel warmth resting there. It does not burn, it simply lives. You understand then what the Amorites built toward all along, the moment when every wall, every prayer, every silence points inward. The scent of herb smoke softens the air. A faint crackle rises from the wick, not noise, but heartbeat. The floor beneath you feels smooth and warm, polished by countless kneeling hands. You hear nothing else, only your breath moving through space as the flame bends with it. Sight, sound, scent, touch, all dissolve into a single stillness that feels infinite. The Amorites knew that an empire must eventually close its eyes. No temple, no law, no garden survives forever. But the flame, small and quiet, would never vanish. It lived on in those who remembered how to pause, how to breathe, how to listen. They called this the final ritual, not of ending, but of continuation. To watch the light without asking it to stay. To love it even as it fades. You bow lower, your forehead nearly touching the floor. The warmth brushes your face, steady and kind. The flame bends towards you, reflecting in your eyes like a twin soul. You inhale its glow, let it settle behind your ribs, and with each breath, it becomes part of you, a secret, silent sun. Inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and let the breath fall away. Your body settles a little deeper, the heart inside your chest, and the light before you pulse as one. A silver mist slides through the temple's gate, circling the flame before drifting upward into the dark. Beyond the quiet gate, another dream begins. Night lingers, stretched thin and silver. The moon rests low over the plains of Mesopotamia, her reflection lying perfectly still upon the river's skin. Nothing moves now. Not the wind, not the reeds, not even the flame within the last temple. The world holds its breath. You stand beside the water once more. Its current has slowed to the rhythm of sleep. The silver river that once carried cities and kings now carries only light. You kneel and your fingers meet the surface. It is cool, soft, alive. The reflection trembles for a heartbeat, then reforms, whole again. You understand, as the Amorites once did, that nothing sacred is ever lost, only changed. All around you, the night folds inward. The sand, the walls, the towers, the gardens, all dissolve into shadow, returning to the hush from which they came. What remains is the pulse beneath it all, the same gentle sound that moved through the first breath, the same hum that fills your own chest. The flame has left the temple, but it burns here now, behind your ribs, small and steady, refusing to fade. The river hums in sympathy, each ripple whispering a memory of touch and time. The air smells of myrrh and cooling earth. You hear nothing but the faint echo of your own breathing, as though the world itself exhales through you. Above, the stars wait in silence, patient and forgiving. Their light falls softly across the water, turning the ripples into threads of silver silk. The moon lowers herself until she touches the surface, dissolving into the current. Her reflection merges with the flow, becoming one with the river's endless drift. You whisper into the quiet, "Rest." The word vanishes, but the peace it leaves remains. Every heartbeat slows to match the water's pace. Every thought folds back into the body, gentle, complete. There is no past, no future, only this stillness, this shimmering now. Inhale slowly, hold for a moment, and let the breath fall away. Your body settles a little deeper. Your heartbeat joins the rhythm of the river. The lights have faded, the rivers hum in silver, and you are already dreaming.